Imagine coming into work one day and finding one of your coworkers slightly slacking off, ignoring his job responsibilities and passing them off to you. It can be frustrating, but you think, hey, maybe he's just having a bad day, so you excuse it. But the next day, that same coworker comes into work and he's still ignoring his duties. Now you're thinking, I have enough on my plate without having to do your workload too, right? Now, the way that we deal with situations like these in the workforce are through effective confrontation, a skill often taught and used in human services. Hi, I'm Brianna Abbott, a social work major who's been working in the industry of human services for 3 years now. And I'm here today with you to discuss how to confront somebody using iMessages. So before we delve into what iMessages are, I want to first discuss why confrontation is so important for 3 reasons. So the first reason that confrontation is so important is because it allows an individual to become aware of an issue that we may have with him or her, or an issue we might not even have with an individual, but one we need to collaborate and compromise on. And as we all know from past experience, by ignoring or avoiding an issue, it doesn't just simply go away. And that's why confronting somebody and making them aware of an issue is really important to the resolution of a problem. So the second reason that confrontation is so important, and probably the most important aspect, is it prevents the issue from reoccurring, which is our ultimate goal. So for example, we don't want this coworker of ours to continue coming into work, just really slacking off, ignoring his duties and responsibilities, and us having to pick up the work, especially when we're not paid for it. So that's why confrontation is important, because we don't want them to continue coming in and doing so. So the third reason that effective confrontation is so important is because it opens up a gateway of communication, specifically positive and healthy communication. By confronting somebody in a positive manner, we're allowing a healthy communication flow to be established, whether that be trust, dignity, and respect from ourselves to the individual and vice versa. So now that we've discussed why confrontation is so important, I want to go over iMessages and how they pertain to confrontation. So in my interview with Sharon Webster, who works with Homebase, or better known as Champlain Community Services, we discussed the most effective way to confront an individual, and that is through iMessages. Now, essentially, iMessages are messages framed around ourselves. For example, I feel, I think, I wonder. Now, by using I as a frame of reference, we're able to claim a problem as our own. So before going further into detail about iMessages, I want to give you an example of how not to confront somebody. So I'm going to use an example of perhaps a scenario that I might have with one of my individuals in human services. We'll call him Mark. So Mark has an issue of being habitually late for all of our meetings, and it's really preventing me from getting my work done on time, because I find that I'm having to stay late to get the rest of my work done. I'm also feeling like it's not giving us enough time to go over all the things we might need to go over in our meetings. So a way that I might not and should not confront Mark is by using the word you. Now, when we use the word you, it sounds accusatory, and it results in the individual feeling really closed off, cornered, and not really collaborative. So here's an example of what we might not want to do to confront somebody. Hey, Mark, you're always late for our meetings, and I can't get any of my work done on time. Do you think you could get here on time? So notice how I used you numerous times through that confrontation. It sounds aggressive, and if you were in Mark's shoes, you might feel really closed off to wanting to collaborate with me. So a better way to confront somebody, like I've said, is by using iMessages. And again, iMessages use yourself as a frame of reference. So in this scenario, I might say, using iMessages, hey Mark, I'm noticing that when you get here late, I'm finding it difficult for myself to catch up on work throughout the rest of the day. I'm wondering if there's a time that works out better for us to meet. Also, what are your thoughts? So notice how I used I. So in this case, I'm claiming the problem as my own instead of blaming Mark for the problem. So it's not Mark's problem that he's late, even though it might be his fault. It's my problem. So in this case, I'm claiming, again, the problem as my own, as well as using the word I. So this really opens up an opportunity for Mark to collaborate with me. He feels less defensive, his walls aren't up as high, and he's more likely to collaborate. In addition, I'm also inviting him to welcome other ideas into for the problem. So, as I mentioned, iMessages are very important, and Sharon really went over this with me. Another thing that I found really interesting is, in one of my classes, they also go over iMessages as well in the fundamental case management practice. So in this, I don't know if you're able to see, they also go over iMessages. And a way that we can use this is I feel, I'm wondering, I'm seeing. All of those are effective ways to begin a confrontation, again, by using I. There are numerous and endless possibilities as long as you're using I. So again, that's really why effective confrontation is so important, is to establish open communication, make an individual aware of the problem at hand, and prevent it from reoccurring, as well as how we begin a confrontation using iMessages. So again, I'm Brianna Abbott, and thank you for spending time with me today to learn about confrontation with the use of iMessages.